I don't think that you should watch The Birth of a Nation unless you watch other films from that time period first. We're often told that The Birth of a Nation was the first truly great cinematic masterpiece. Before that, the canon includes some Lumiere Brothers actualities, some Georges Méliès's fantasies, The Great Train Robbery, and maybe a couple Griffith shorts. But there's a huge gap until we're told that The Birth of a Nation single-handedly elevated cinema to an art form. This simple narrative of Griffith single-handedly inventing film language makes sense if you just watch this small selection of films, as you're watching cinema go from 1-minute actualities to 10-minute fantasies, and jumping all the way to Griffith's 3-hour epic. That myth only survives because people aren't watching enough films from this time period. Once you begin watching 1900s and 1910s cinema, Birth of a Nation starts to look a whole lot different. With this proper context, instead of thinking that The Birth of a Nation invented cross-cutting, you remember films that did it previously, such as Lois Weber, who uses parallel editing to great effect in her 1913 film Suspense. Instead of thinking that The Birth of a Nation was the very first epic, you'll think of the Italian historical epics, such as the previous year's Cabiria, which used large sets and tons of extras, plus some great camera movement in order to recreate ancient Rome. Instead of thinking that The Birth of a Nation introduced close-ups, you remember Griffith's earlier films in his biograph days, where he mastered the use of close-ups for emotional effect and to reveal character thoughts and motivations. Watching The Birth of a Nation in isolation without seeing other films made before it really inflates its importance and distorts its place in film history. The film's popularity, fueled by its publicity and controversy as much as the film's technical merits, certainly changed American audiences' expectations for its movies, and influenced how the film industry thought about and produced film. But it's important that it did not invent cinematic storytelling, but merely helped to popularize the advances in cinematic storytelling that Griffith and numerous other directors had made in the previous years. So if you're gonna watch The Birth of a Nation, make sure you watch some of these earlier films first. I quickly just jotted down a few films from the 1910s that would be great to watch before watching The Birth of a Nation to get better historical context for the film's place in film history. Here on this channel, I will be highlighting movies made before and around The Birth of a Nation in the coming weeks and months that also played a role in developing film language as we know it today. So make sure you follow me if you're curious to see that and more breakdowns of silent cinema.